1 month. I've been playing solo queue, but the main thing is that another support for Gambit that have been subbed in week 6 in London asked me if I wanted to try out with them, because Genja has been saying that he was like a bit tired and wanted a little break. So after that practice, Gambit decided to like go with me and Edward. They are pretty great guys and they like welcomed me really warm. It was just like joining a new team, like being together with them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the 2015 Spring Promotion Tournament, and now SK Prime and Gambit Gaming are preparing to jump back into the Rift for Game 2. Now SKP, they're up 1-0 in this series. The Jungle Fizz was fun. I mean, the entire team, though, played really well.
Yeah, everybody across the board there, but I want to give some shout-outs to Smitty J, who went 6-1 and 15 as Mundo in the top lane. And Smitty, he doesn't get enough credit. His Riven is really, really damn good, but his Mundo, at the same time, he knows how to soak damage, he knows how to be that frontliner and engage for his team. He likes to go hard, and that's exactly what they needed.
Exactly. He did an incredible job of carrying fights for them in the mid game, even despite being in a lane swap. Next thing I want to talk about, though, from SKP is Kickus in the jungle. He has been credited with kind of the reason SKP is good right now, but he's been awesome. He played Jungle Fizz, man.
He's having
all
the
you
time
can
of
say.
his life right there. He's smiling. He's like, I'm going to pick Fizz again. No, I'm not.
I mean, he might. I actually asked Z's what was up with the Jungle Fizz pick, and he's like, he played it in solo queue and decided it was good. Wasn't even like from Scrim Record or anything. He decided it was going to be fun to play here. So
his team didn't even know it was coming.
They
Robert
might have not.
strat there, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know what you're picking, neither does the enemy.
Neither do
it's all
they.
good.
We certainly didn't. Other thing to talk about, though, is the jungler on Gambit Gaming, though, Diamond, who did not have a very good game for himself. Honestly, it was kind of surprising. Gambit, I think, came in as favorites to this matchup. And I don't know, Diamond just did not have a very good game on Elise.
No, I think he's the most deaths on his team there and was not able to cause the pressure that his team required him to have in order to step up, because he has really high kill participation and they need him as a facilitator.
Mm-hmm. And if he can at least match the aggression of Kickus in the jungle and SKP, I think Gambit has a much better chance. They were holding up in lanes. Right? Like, nothing about the Gambit comp said that they're going to lose the game, like, for sure. Like, Zed's a great champion. He was holding up against Orianna. Crislin was actually winning in CS against Trish. Granted, that was a lane swap, but even still, he was doing great for himself. Kuban was starting to power up on Ryze. Like, the elements were all there, and yet Kickus made all these plays and Diamond couldn't hold up. And that, I think, was a big individual element of that Gambit loss.
And Diamond looked like he needed a hug there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a little rough for him.
Yeah, hopefully he can get his morale back up and start carrying the team once again.
Yeah.
And being that carry that Gambit needs.
So we're going to see what they can change, of course, in the next game. We do have all 10 players in the lobby. Champ Select about to begin here, and we're going to see if new things come about there. Sides are swapped. SKP now on blue, Gambit Gaming on red. We're going to see what these guys make as their changes. Yasuo, Lee Sin still removed by the same teams that banned them last time.
Let's see if any augmentations come out here.
We're not going to see Victor.
I'm into the bans, freak.
Orianna now removed from What the Fox. That was definitely a smart choice. I think Gambit learned quicker than CLG did that the Orianna mid laner was like carrying team fights here. So What the Fox will have to find something new here, but he does have first pick.
Yeah, we're gonna get very quickly used to seeing that splash art. That new splash art's getting a lot of usage here in the ban column.
Well, it's live now, so I mean, everyone who plays League of Legends actively is going to be like, oh yeah, it's the Orianna splash.
Wasn't yesterday. It was freaking me out when I saw it.
I know. Well, Aurelia banned out away from Kuban, though Nidalee's still away from Smitty J. So Kha'Zix was left up, grabbed by Kickus right off the bat, still denied from Diamond.
Diamond not getting his hands on that carry jungler, one of the bigger meta carry junglers right now,
yeah.
one of the bigger top tier ones. So
right.
I had to fall back on Elise again. You know, Lee Sin banned away, Kha'Zix taken away. Don't know how much of a Nunu player he actually is. Evelynn still hasn't seen a lot of play. Rengar, you know, fell out.
Yeah, Nocturne kind of replaced Rengar as like the new Rengar.
Yeah.
Like, I press R, suddenly I'm on top of you.
And it's easier because it's a point and click.
Can't even miss.
At the same time, though.
Forewarning, though.
Well, I mean, watch this be a flex pick Kha'Zix. It goes to the mid and then Kickus picks up Fizz or something again for himself.
Smitty goes for it. I mean, he plays Riven. Why not play Kha'Zix? Just play fighters, squishy fighters in the top lane. Zed still the hover. I thought Nyx's Zed was good. It's just the fact that the team kind of got outscaled everywhere else. Tristana also grabbed here for Crislin. So denying the late game power, at least somewhat there away from Z's. That could help a lot.
And it's really funny, too, because when they locked in the Tristana for Z's, I was like, that's not his play style. That's not what he's super comfortable on. And when you play a best of 5 and you win a game, like one that on a champion that you aren't completely comfortable on, and then it gets picked away from you because the team's just like, let's just not have him have it, you get to play what you're super comfortable on. So he's free to play Lucian, Corki, Ezreal. I mean, he's probably not going to play Ezreal, but he'll play Lucian, Corki, or Kog'Maw.
Okay.
And that's going to work out for him.
So Z's decided to now play late game carries instead of lane bullies here. A new style for him now in the promotion tournament. So far, so good for Z's. Zaitan there on Nami as well means a very good duo lane of Kog'Nami.
It's got a lot of early game pressure when you have the Kog'Maw and the Nami with Tidecaller's Blessing alongside the Pyro Arcane Barrage and the extra range, because Tristana actually can't hold up to that in lane.
No.
But yeah, you talked about the Zed for Nick. I think Nick has more carry potential when he's on a champion like Ziggs. I really believe that. I feel like his Zed is a little underwhelming. I feel like it's not going to accomplish what they need because it's going to be pick-oriented. When they need more AoE damage, they need something to win the team fights.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what Gambit's team fight's going to look like, though. They are hopping on the Maokai, though, for themselves, which will help quite a lot. Looks like Kuban is going to have that for himself, so Smitty J gets to counterpick the Maokai top lane.
Riven.
Yeah.
Did it before.
True. No, I think it's going to be plenty strong if he does go for it. SKP also not showing their mid laner just yet. But Thresh Trist fighting up against Nami Kog. Zed mid and Maokai top both grabbed blind here. Gambit actually saving their jungle pick for last.
It's time to bust out your Smitty J flowcharts for Riven. Should I play Riven here?
Yes.
Yes. Should I play Riven here? No?
Yes.
Still play Riven.
Yep.
That's exactly what happens with the Smitty J flowchart. I understand if he picks something else, he might pick Mundo into that because that is a really good matchup for him.
Peer pressure.
I know. You see, not happy about that. He's like, oh,
yeah, he was smiling at the very start of the game.
Yeah. Nope.
Then he no longer had the ability to play Riven. It was out of his hands. And suddenly, the frown, it appears.
But yeah, he had a great showing on the Mundo before, involved in 21 of the kills, and that is going to be the Syndra for What the Fox. And we talked about how good of a Syndra player he is, that it usually warrants a ban, and wasn't taken from this game.
Well, here we go. Full lineups are in. SK Prime Mundo again in the top lane. Kha'Zix now for Kikis in the jungle. The scary Cinder for What the Fox and the Kog'Nami bot lane. However, Gambit have picked up Vi for themselves, so their individual target selection is just so darn strong. They have two champions who can press R, click on a guy, and then basically make them fall over. So if you're Z's or What the Fox, you got to be a little bit afraid here.
Yeah, here's the thing, is that the synergy from Gambit Gaming is Diamond Nick. They have a pick comp between those two champions right there. They synergize very well in picking people off. Remember when Vi, around Season 3 Worlds, was like, we're going to synergize that with Zed and Ahri in the Assassin meta to make level 6 picks and then continue to snowball from the mid lane, drag that bottom, etc. So they need to do that. That should be their game plan coming in here. And then have their top laner, Kuban, show up to the team fights at Dragon to give his ultimate and make those Assassins a little more durable.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be pretty strong overall. It does give a little bit of extra credibility to actual team fights. Because certainly Vi and Zed can be in 5-on-5 team fights. They excel in 1-on-1s and 2-on-1s and 2-on-2s, but certainly the 5-on-5 not weak here. And so, yeah, you've got a lot of things to be concerned about them when you're SKP, because I think Gambit's comp is quite nice. I know you weren't initially sold on Zed, but I think they fleshed that out pretty nicely. And you've still got this great fallback of an AD carry player on Tristana who had done well in the first game. I think there's good fallback here for Gambit Gaming.
Yeah, and I wonder if the lane swap will come out again, or if the Thresh Prince is going to actually try to see if he can get some hooks on that Nami. Really interested to see how Edward does with alongside Chrisland.
That's true. It'll be interesting to look for. I do think that Gambit don't need to swap their lanes around. I think they can withstand that just because Edward can make the lane work well due to hooks and whatnot. Thresh can always survive almost any 2-on-2 matchup.
He took Ignite too.
Yeah.
So he's looking for that pressure. Here's the thing though, is it's double exhaust on SKP versus an assassin mid laner in Nick. So that's going to make Nick's life pretty terrible when you reach that mid game, that late game. And it's also, you have another one for Tristana. You're usually going to have at least one of those up when you enter those team fights. And another thing here is that there isn't an exhaust on the side of Gambit Gaming. They're going to have to rely on, can they blow up the Kog'Maw? They reach him, blow him up. If you can't, then Ooh, it's going to be really tough once he gets away.
He has all that uptime on damage, and the thing is, if Vi and Zed don't go together, Nami can easily peel and have Cog kill Vi without dying. And so you've got to definitely keep that in mind, where Nick needs to be involved or it's useless to go for Z's.
Yeah, and then Kuban can always follow it up. If he can close that distance,
Right, yeah.
it's very difficult because they have a lot of disengage here from SKP. I assume that Kickus, max W, possibly evolve it pretty early on. He's going to have even more disengage. There's a lot of poke here and a lot of options from SKP. And then from Gambit Gaming, they are going to rely on Crystalline for their late game wave clear. So if they have to siege up, SKP do have the advantage.
As long as they can play around the hooks and play around the vine, they should be in good shape for that. So SK Prime are going to initiate a lane swap yet again. They're going to hide Z's up in the top lane, let him farm, and dodge the laning phase. They're up there with 2 people together, though. Interesting thing is, Gambit... no, they're both going to be able to take red buffs here. I was thinking there's a chance that Gambit actually loses out on a buff here. They are going to contest, though. Kickus and Smitty J are going to get hit up by Crysland and Edward.
Oh, they're not checking the bush. It's going to be a sneak attack here. How devastating is this going to be?
Good play, catches both of them. Ignite is on Kickus. He flashes the wall already. And the rocket
chase.
Crysland has the slow. This will be the kill on Kickus, I believe. 1 shot to go. Flashes, gets it, despite the exhaust. Early first blood Gambit.
The aggression from this bot lane of Gambit Gaming with Crystalline on it. They get the kill, they get a flash, and they get the exhaust from What the Fox.
And look at this play. They immediately grab the red and just turn around. They don't even finish the red buff. They go to steal the blue as soon as possible. Kickus might get a 0 buff start.
That is going to be completely devastating for him. He's such a control-oriented jungler, and if you want to do 2-on-2 skirmishes, you have to at least be the same level as the other guy. Diamond and Kuban are now owning this jungle. Man. Kuban took that blue for himself as well, so he has a lot of experience.
Wow, they're going for Diamond.
Oh, they're going for
They've got the dual lane around. Diamond does not have Vault Breaker, I believe. He's going to have to flash. Z's in there. He does it. Wow, Zaitan blocks it. He gets the kill. What the Fox gets a red buff.
The flash from Zaitan to stunt the Vault Breaker. Brilliant play there from that support. And that's going to be, right, like you said, a red onto What the Fox. I would trade a red for my exhaust in an early game.
That was amazing. SKP are down in gold a little bit, but you know what? I think they can recover pretty nicely. What the Fox getting a lot of damage down onto Nick. Actually doesn't quite land the stun, but still, it's a rough place to be if you're Zed now.
Zaitan, he's not doing the same thing he did last game where he just stayed up top and pushed that turret down. Now he's looking to make some plays. Kickus actually is going to get some possession of his red buff there and some experience, so he gets a 1 buff start.
Ooh, Bubble gonna look for Nick. Stun's gonna land. Bubble hits as well. Big damage under Nick. He's not quite gonna die, but 300 health now on Zed. Forced to recall.
Good roam there. Even if it's not a gank that's going to result in a kill, getting that damage on and getting him out of the lane is going to reduce his experience, his gold, etc. Big, big win there for SKP. And they also make it so that there's no way he can shove out and show up at a dragon.
So good things then. All right, the mid lane going pretty nicely. 13 to 14 in CS, but the forced recall away from Nick is going to hurt him. Kickus and Smitty J still dueling down to the jungle, but they have 3 guys who can show up bot lane to hold this now. Can they?
4-on-2 in the bot lane right now. The ward over the wall. They're going to see this coming. Smitty J is going to try to peel them back.
I feel like they could defend this turret 3v4 just because the turret will do so much damage, but the lack of flashes makes them afraid. Gambit do zone out all the experience there. They kill the wave off and nothing gained under the turret. SKP forced to retreat against these 4.
It's a very dangerous situation to be in. 3 people getting nothing, 4 people getting at least something. You're creating slow advantages for your team, and the zoning off of experience. Diamond is still off on the side, but that's actually going to be Kuban going back. He may TP up top to get this big wave and not miss out on experience. But it isn't going to be an early dragon this time.
Right.
Gambit Gaming, which is what kept them in that early game last time.
Well, they went for the blue buff steal instead. They thought they could maximize all their benefits there, and it just wasn't quite enough for them. Of course, a great collapse by SK Prime turned that around. Now SKP are actually the ones in the gold lead. As they move Kuban back to the top lane, TP down, as he's just getting his free fund.
And now it's back to just jungle rotations. Diamond ended up getting caught out again back when he gave up that red buff. Just both these junglers are very... This game is going to be dictated by how these junglers perform early mid-game and how they synergize with their mid laners. That's really what this is coming down to, because we did see that early kill go on to Chrisland,
Yeah.
but nothing really came of it after that. There was a good recovery by SKP off of exploiting a mistake by Gambit.
You see Edwards spots the ward down from Kikis, says, by the way, don't go through this side. Diamond is top side here, does not get spotted on his way over. He is only level 4 though. WTF should be 6 before Nick, I believe.
But he doesn't have any mana.
Okay, just the wave clear back and forth. Looks like WTF does want to recall back. Now, last time around, he went Chalice into Athenes into an early Zonias, but not like the Morellonomicon Seekers build. Now, I don't know if he does the same thing here. No, it is going to be Morellonomicon. Okay, so a different build now. WTF picking a different one here for game 2. And he does, of course, have to respect the Zed all-ins. Nick now level 6. I guess only level 3, actually. Heavily under-leveled Kha'Zix jungle.
Yeah, he didn't get one of his buffs at the start.
Play though on his I-10. Good damage, good bubble onto Chrisland, but it's still an out-leveled matchup there. Gambit still leading this 2v2.
Chrisland finally hitting that level 4 for himself. Roaming around the jungle trying to get gold, because Diamond actually has more combat stats than him right now, and he's going to have to back. Get ready for his second round of buffs. But these junglers, these second rounds of buff have not gone uncontested. In fact, there's been a lot of pressure and play in the jungle from both of these teams in game 1, and it's no exception so far in this game 2.
It's true, junglers have been a pretty big impact here so far. Ooh. There's a little bit of CC there on his Nick, but he's going to be alright. And so I want to see what happens when this map starts to unlock. There's the recall from Kuban. Goes towards his Catalyst there, but he's not walking towards Dragon yet, so not yet an idea there for Gambit Gaming. SK Prime are going to get some war control down and sweep away the first pink. So far, we're just kind of at this sort of tense point where at some point, something's going to happen.
Like that, the pink ward.
Wow, what a massive turn of events there, Aiden. We lost a pink ward this game. Oh my god, blue buff goes to WTF!
Casting with the troll.
Yep.
Pretty glorious. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really fun.
Okay, so now they're setting up for the dragon. Edward, he's backing up, but it's gonna get interrupted. So Chrisland, he wants to back. He wants to cash in and get that BF sword. So the BF sword to a Sheen, and now we're gonna see Z's finally show up to this bottom lane and establish dragon control again.
This is good timing by Gambit. Their teleport comes up in about 20 seconds there. Speedy J has the same idea. Ooh, Nick's gonna take some damage, does not ult for anything. 100 health, the flashing fast doesn't mean anything. Gambit, it's Diamond who shows up, pops the ulti. WTF, gotta be careful. There's the death mark, there's the kill. Nick gets one back just in time.
That was a bait into a bait.
Yep.
Such great mind games there from both teams. We ended up seeing WTF just pop his ultimate there. Nick kind of just stood there for a second, didn't even blow his ignite for the counter kill. It was Diamond who showed up and capitalized off of the exhaust and the flash from WTF.
Beautiful stuff then, because Gambit gave me a 500 gold and a bit of a lead now in the mid lane. WTF gets his Morellonomicon though. And let's see. TP's up for both top laners. Ulti is there for Kuban. Pink ward dies, green ward dies. And Gambit looking so much better than last game.
It's not as rocky of a mid-game just yet. I want to see what ends up happening when these team fights start fleshing themselves out. Because Gambit did have an early game lead off of map rotations before. But then this game, we got that lead off of some ganks from Diamond. How is Diamond going to perform? How is Nick going to perform? They're setting themselves up for their typical MO of how they win a game, how they close it out. Can they keep playing to that strength? Can they keep outplaying WTF and Kikis?
Well, maybe so. Let's see if they can keep it going. 1,000 gold lead for Gambit. And they do have the stronger bot lane, I think, right now in terms of what they would bring to a team fight. We'll see. Maybe not. I suppose the spells of Cog are pretty darn strong. It's really hard to make that estimation here. The items are better, but so far it's just a holding pattern. It's basically on the ultimates to be up. Diamond still 1 quarter left in that one. Kikis has really not been seen on the map so far.
He's been trying to play some catch-up. He's still a level down. WTFox on Nick again.
Do some good damage. WTFox happy to burn the ulti with 20% CDR just to get the harass down and get it back up off cooldown.
Nick doesn't really have any options to get himself back up. He'd have to sustain those potions that he's chugging down. But he's going to have to get some auto attacks in. Because WTFox, you know he's going to continue to poke this in zone. Oh, but they play to that strength, and Kuban actually comes down. He walks by some wards, though.
But Diamond's coming as well. I believe Diamond got spotted himself. Kika's going to have to be careful here.
They're looking for a pick into a dragon. That's how Gambit's going to get these objectives, is using their assassin mid laner combined with that Vi, and then picking up the dragon off of that. Off of killing the mid laner, off of killing the jungler, whoever it is.
Well, you're seeing him try for that one. It does get stymied, though, by good vision coverage by SK Prime. Diamond still in the wings. He knows exactly where Kikis is. That ward got spotted as it went down. Sweeper not available. Gambit's bot lane is doing well in the 2-on-2. They're shoving into the turret here. They're pushing Z's and Zaitan back. So that is an easier rotation there by Gambit. They don't quite stay for the turret. Gigas gets spotted as he runs to the bot side as well. So again, Gambit just knows more than SKP does.
Oh, Diamond.
Oh, he bypasses the wards.
Oh, wow. He just walked by all of them. He's going for WTFox.
He's going in for WTFox. There's the ulti pops on in. Here comes the death mark. The exhaust already on, but WTFox has nowhere to go. Cannot get the counter kill. That's a nice one picked up. Now Sweetie J on the chase. Can he stop Diamond? I feel like he can't, but Kikis is going to try to help anyway. I don't think this is a chase they can make happen.
Well, the movement speed a little too fast there with the boots on Vi.
Right, exactly. So really, really nice play by Diamond. The ward coverage has set up the fact there was no counter gank. The hop over the wall, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, just the ward control, and also Diamond, he spent a lot of time in that enemy jungle, and he watched their reactions to how he moved, and then he figured out that there weren't any wards in these certain areas because he was like, oh, they're not reacting to my movements here.
Yeah. Freaking so smart.
Kikis.
He thought he could maybe all in with another jump Q, but not quite the case.
Well, the fact that the turret
doesn't
count towards isolation, there's no way he was going to kill Diamond off of that.
No, not at all. But he's like, maybe? No, not going to happen there. So, Kikis is going to start dragging, though. He thinks there's no wards yet, and in fact, realizing that Diamond had to back, or thinks it had to back, they will still sweep the ward. Diamond doesn't show himself, but SKP realized, you know what, we can't go for this.
Seen by a pink ward rotating down to that bottom lane. Diamond cancels his back and sticks around just to get a good view. His first dragon. Next dragon, actually. Back and forth in the mid lane.
Yeah, they are brawling a lot here.
Ultimate's on cooldown every time. One of them has it up. It's basically like your move. If you ulti, I ulti.
It's also worth noting that the exhaust by WTFox did not stop him from going down to Nick. They were able to power through that summoner spell anyway. That's got to put some kind of fear into WTFox's heart that even when that spell is up, he can't really be safe.
Yeah, also, there's level advantage here for Nick. WTFox is about to hit 10 off of this wave. And the ping's coming out around the dragon. The bottom lane had been shoved in by Chrisland. And they're all forming up. And WTFox, he's getting his blue buff. Kikis on the complete opposite side of the map from this. And there we go. Up here by Gambit.
Dragon starter for Gambit going down pretty quickly, and will they move down in time? Looks like the bot lane not interested in moving. Dragon drops down. That is now, I believe, number 2 for Gambit in this. No, sorry, first one of the game, yeah. I know, I expected one to happen, but no.
Yeah.
First Dragon of the game, Gambit up 2K.
And their objective control, this is a completely different game than what we saw before. They got this mid-game dragon for themselves. They ended up drafting a bit better for what their goals are. The only thing here is that they're a very physical, damage-oriented composition that SKP, Smitty, if he builds a Randuin, a Thornmail, a Warmogs, he's going to have a really good time against this composition.
It's true, and not being able to kill a Dr. Mundo is a rough spot. Once Thornmail's there, you can actually just always out-duel a Tristana, so someone's got to help him do that. That's going to be hard to do here. So, SKP always have the fallback, and maybe Z's can outrange the Zen. That's still the question here, something that can keep SKP on. But Gambit definitely able to dictate the pace of this game, which is exactly what you expect by these guys.
But it's also a little bit by their picks, too, because they're going to have all this mid-game pressure on WTFox, who has no escapes as a Syndra, with a Vi, with a Zed, and also the same boat for Z's and Zaitan. Both of them, it's very hard for them to get away when they get gap closed on.
So, ward's going down. Gambit wresting control of the map. They've been mostly capitalizing on that with dragons. Picks in the mid lane and dragons over and over and over again. What's next for these guys? Do SKP have a way to fire back? Do Gambit keep the pressure on? 60 minutes in. We got a while till the next set of neutral objectives come up here. And it's just a slowly growing gold lead.
So we're having one item power spikes here for both AD carries. We have the Infinity Edge to the Trinity Force. The Kog'Maw's a little bit stronger at this point.
Yeah.
So if they group up for SKP, I do think that they have an advantage to smite the 3k gold lead at this moment. Because it's more pick-oriented on Gambit. They want to deny vision. They want to play the vision game, which has been something they've been doing incredibly well so far. They're buying a lot of wards, they're placing a lot of wards, and they're denying the vision so that they're able to make these picks, which we saw Diamond make in the mid lane. So they need to keep doing that if they want to close this game out. Whereas SKP...
Oh, wow, there was a ward to spot a Kickus. They play him backwards. He pops the ulti, he jumps away. Ignite is on. Ulti popped on Aziz. Kickus gets out, but Aziz actually will as well. That is a flash used by Chrisland and 2 summoners out of Aziz. And a flash by Kickus.
The ultimate from Diamond onto Z's and not Kickus. So the kill was not picked up there. A great pick and great vision, because you don't expect there to be a ward in that bush at this point in the game. But we saw Chrisland walk up and place that earlier.
Wow.
So they're playing to their strengths here as a pick composition, but they just didn't execute the kill.
And they didn't quite do it, but they did get some more map control back. Bot lane got shoved into the turret. They get the rest of the lanes pushed up as well. SKP definitely on the back foot. They have been for a while so far in this game.
The fact that they're giving up the dragons and the fact that they're giving up some kills. The pick is still happening. Edward is on the hunt. Ooh.
Yeah, nice try on the hook there. Takes it away. 3,000 gold lead now for Gambit. That number keeps going up.
I like this because what Gambit is doing is they're focusing Kickus and keeping him down. He has such a controlled style. And like I said, he relies on countering skirmishes. If you know where the jungler is, you don't give him the opportunity to show up to a skirmish that you are uneducated about, that you were like, I don't know if the jungler's here, but I'm going to fight this 2-on-1, and it turns out to be a 2-on-2.
Yeah.
So they completely deny that. Stop his experience, stop his gold income, and keep him down, because Kickus is such a big backbone to this team. We talked about how they were kind of an under-the-radar team, and then Kickus showed up. It was like, damn, this team is good.
And they're keeping him down, keeping him from doing almost anything here. His assist was off of a over-aggressive blue buff invade at 4.5 minutes in. That's the only thing that's so far gone well for SK Prime. No other kills, no turrets, no dragons, nothing else here. So SKP, will they get themselves back in? Top lane turret does survive for one more wave, but Kuban has been slowly working that one down against MiniJ's Mundo. Edward now going to roam around. Ward gets rid of the pink. That's going to be a definite top lane turret pick up there for Gambit. Oh, Smitty spots these guys. He's got to be careful though. A lot of people around.
Yet.
Ulti is used by Zed. Ignite as well. Smitty J has to flash out. Still has 4 health left. Hook on the Kickus, but no follow-up. Nami wave used does not stop Diamond. And Gambit get away cleanly.
It looks like they weren't completely committing to that fight there on Gambit because there was no assault and battery used on the Mundo to stop him.
Yeah, that was miscommunication.
Nick ultied, Diamond didn't. You need to have that type of synergy with your mid laner, or it's not going to work out, but look at this!
Edward takes some damage, What the Fox takes even more, has to
TP
flash away.
minion.
Diamond in the air, goes down to What the Fox. Edward has to run away, he has 200 health. They go back in, hook on What the Fox. Nick runs away, and Kickus now around in this fight as well. 1 for 1, and that's going to be the disengage by SK Prime.
Z's finally showed up. He's trying to deal some damage here and just push this wave down. I don't think Gambit can actually defend this turret. It's going to be a push by SKP.
Oh man, SKP, yeah, they finally find their way out on this one. They get a kill, they trade one back, they get the mid lane outer for it as well. Finally signs of life here for the blue team.
And ZZ shows up to this fight and just revitalizes it there. Diamond went a little too hard and got picked off by Wat the Fox. It looked like a good play, but the TP from from Smitty J was so good here. You're going to see him TP to this minion, and it just keeps it alive forever. So that this turret is just focusing there. They blow Diamond up, and now they focus down Edward. He jumps off to the side. He gets a hook on his Smitty J, but the fact that this is all clumped up and it's a death ball against a composition that is wanting to pick you off. No Deathmark ultimate was available there because it was used previously and wasn't synergized with the Assault and Battery. So this was kind of a misplay by Gambit because they didn't pick that fight with all of their ultimates up when they had used them previously. Look at this.
Oh, Dragon goes to Gambit, and now Kikis is in really much the wrong spot. He's going to go down right away. Kill plus Dragon for Gambit. Nice knockback. But Gambit just keep taking more advantage. His 5,000 gold up.
And that's what happens when you push a tier 1 turret, you attempt to push a tier 2, then you all back and the enemy team is already respawned. They wrestled Dragon control, Gambit took it away, and Kikis went a little too hard for that. He's getting a little bit desperate. This is so unlike his controlled style. He's kind of flailing about looking for things. I mean, that's what happens when you go on tilt as a jungler. You get your buff stolen, you die early on. You're just having a bad time at that point. You're like, I can't do my job. I can't gank.
Well, he has so far done a little bit with What the Fox. They both have 100% kill participation. Only 2, though, for the team. SK Prime have not shown many ways into the game, but got their blue buff safely. And we're going to blind hook, forces What the Fox away. They sweep it, like, no. He just guessed that. All right, well, down those go. I'm also wondering what the Syndra pick is supposed to accomplish with this roster. Because you've got this really, really good team fighting team, like this late game team of Kog'Maw and Mundo and Kha'Zix and even Nami to keep the lane afloat. I just don't know what Syndra is supposed to do here. That's not like they're trying to get picks.
Syndra, I assume, was supposed to be a good 2-on-2 brawler with the Kha'Zix, so that they could set themselves up for some free level 6 fights against Diamond and Nick.
Okay.
Which would make a ton of sense.
Okay.
Because these guys are definitely better at level 6 as a duo between the Vi and the Zed compared to the Kha'Zix and Syndra. They are still like right next to each other in terms of power, but in terms of picking one person off and soloing them out, Gambit has a little bit of an advantage. So the Syndra is definitely going to help disengage too, because they have a lot of squishies on the SKP's side, but they're going to rely on Smitty J to once again be that big frontliner with a ton of armor this time. Just keep the Kog'Maw safe. Guess you do it by doing damage and picking somebody off.
Yep. Well,
Ultimate CC.
It's true. And so far, Z's hasn't been dropped down. It's been everyone else pulling attention in the team fights. Smitty's still trying to power up, but he's down 30 CS against Kuban. Darian's replacement 1-0-1, doing nicely here on this Maokai. Has one of his team's 2 turret kills and 180 CS on him. Chrisland as well, the stand-in for Genja is 2-0 on Tristana. He's very much ahead of Kog'Maw and items right here. Chrisland will remain scary in this game.
Diamond looking for some ward kills. Can't kill people, kill wards, and then kill people. Diamond's been doing a much better job this game in terms of playing around the wards and the vision. In game 1, it was more of a reckless invade from him over and over again. And then reckless team fights that were started off. His Elise was caught out multiple times. Now Diamond is being the aggressor. And he's basically saying, if I'm going to get picked off, it's going to be in your own jungle, because that's where I'm going to spend all my time.
But it's all worked for him.
Getting picked off, Kick is going hard.
Well, Nick's a little bit far forward. Nice time there for What the Fox. Ulti goes in as well. The flash. Oh, the Hex Trigger's enough. He dodges the bubble with the ulti, but Zaitan is certainly going to live. Kill goes to Smitty J. Nick over aggressive.
And that's going to reward them with the tier 1 turret in mid lane for Gambit, but they're going to have to trade Nick's life for it.
Edward's trying to run away from Smitty J. Which one is he going to go for? Turns back and forth. Chrisland hops. No cleavers hit. Edward gets out safe.
Chrisland is going to keep tickling Smitty J this game because he's got a Randuin's Omen. He's working towards what looks like a Warmogs. He's got his Ninja Tabi, and at the same time, he's probably going to build a Thornmail on top of that. So these armor or these physical damage threats are not going to have a good time against this Mundo.
You can see Kikis as well picked up Ninja Tabi for himself. Diamond's going to get exhausted, slowed down as well. Jumps away. He stays safe. Zaitan is going to go down to Chrisland. Nicely done by the Tristana and, of course, Edward on Thresh. Flashes in. Oh, just dodges the hook, but he's going to go ult in anyway. Looks for Kikis. Flashed away by Diamond. Now who's going to win this fight? Kuban in the front, taking up everything. They pick up What the Fox. They get Smitty J as well. Chrisland chasing what he can, but it's just going to be the couple kills for Gambit.
Said Chrisland's going to keep tickling him, but that's in the future. Right now, very, very squishy in comparison, but they're going to go straight for this Baron. They have all their damage dealers up. They have everybody up right now.
And there we go. Gambit looking a lot better in game 2. Baron attempted 25 minutes in. They've got complete control, though. Only 2 guys even close to being able to contest. Make that nobody. They're not even going to try for this one. Secure Baron for Gambit.
Hook onto Zaitan gets immediately blown up here by Chrisland and shoved away. It actually pushes Kikis back out of the fight, too. and they have to spend so much time getting out. And then Diamond ultis Kickus mid-jump, and now the flashes get blown. Fox rooted up, destroyed by Kuban, and then Chrislin getting Smitty J off the back of it too. A 3-for-0 exchange.
Absolutely great stuff here.
I don't even know if 3-for-0 was an exchange. That's more of a 3-for-0. We stole that.
Yep. Well, they earned it.
Earned it, yeah.
They hit some spells and out they went.
Boom.
Yeah. Exchanging requires something coming back.
I know.
I mean, you kill me, I give you gold. And map control.
Usually exchanges involve something you want, too. I don't know if you want to die.
I mean, if people exchange blows in like a fight, I don't want to get punched either.
No, anyway. That's like if you want it, though. Anyway, Dragon's up in 7 seconds to see if that gets exchanged for any kills. At the same time, Z's, he's going to pick up this red buff and be prepared for this fight.
Let's see if SKP can turn it back around. Then they are down, though, like 9,000 gold here. Gambit have played a wonderful mid game. Every kind of person has stepped up and done great things. The picks have worked. The team fights have worked. They've held control here. SKP will get their blue buff as well, so their buffs are on, but of course they're down the Nasher, and that means Gambit take that without any contest. Now a 10,000 gold lead. Gambit looking just as good as SKP did the first time.
And Diamond's having a good game on that Vi. And he also didn't play Vi at all during the regular season in this last split. Played a lot of Evelyn, a lot of Kha'Zix and Lis. Had some Lee Sin and Skarner games too. But look at this.
There's the dive.
Wow.
Z's forced away. The tidal wave going to help a little bit, but Edward just locking up the back line, gets stunned up. But you know what? Diamond and Edward just taking blows as they knock everyone else down. 3 kills picked up already. Zonia's not going to be too much for Fox. He can get away, just maybe.
Chrislin.
But there's the hook back onto Smitty J. They're trying to wear him down. The tanky Mundo finally does fall. It's a 4-for-1 battle for Gambit.
Mundo isn't that tanky just yet, and like I said, this is a very immobile team from SKP. As soon as Gambit decides to go hard and go all the way to the back line, they're able to do that with just the click of a button, and it comes up big for them. If they get that tier 2 turret, they're going to be rewarded with an inhibitor turret on top of that, and possibly an inhibitor.
Looks like they are going to stay. Their health bars are a bit low, but Smitty J is dead for 12 seconds here. Kuban happy to take a few blows. Chrislin is going to actually back out. Gambit not going to stay too long in this one. And out they go. Bubble not going to stop Chrislin, but still a lot earned. Gambit very far ahead.
And they still have that Baron buff ticking on them too, and it has a good duration left. So they can continue to apply pressure. They're waiting. Diamond is coming back up. He will have his assault and battery. Fox, they're actually wrapping around him right now.
This is not good news for SK Prime. Good dodge there by Nick. They get the kill, though, onto Nami. Kickus tries to get Chrislin flashes in, doesn't get the damage. Chrislin now godlike, and Fox even more isolated.
Smitty J, they're closing the distance on him. Assault and battery's up, but he's not going to pop it.
Wow, Fox actually gets himself out of this one. Edward on the chase, but we boots are down for now, though. Mid lane tier 2 under fire. SKP just feel like they're falling apart. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff as one person at a time, and nothing is gained here.
Yeah, Z's has been in that top lane for quite a while now, and he's coming back down to help deal with this. But look at this, Nick pushing in this bottom inhibitor. And this is completely different than what we saw Gambit be like when they had Ninja on the roster. Chrislin 7-0-4. Gambit's being carried by their AD carry at this moment.
They are. And he's playing amazingly here on Tristana. He's cleaned up all the team fights. The mid-jungle synergy is still there, though, between Diamond and Nick. And that was kind of all the early game. Was kind of crush the Syndra, make her useless. Now we can team fight.
Yeah, and they did exactly that. They've kept her down. They kept that jungle and the mid lane just completely down on SKP, which were their 2 strongest members coming into this, and what would need to be tested in terms of synergy. Diamond stepped up, Nick stepped up, Chrislin having a fantastic game for himself. 7-0 for Tristana. He's a force to be reckoned with. He actually has the highest kill participation on his team as the AD carry.
Yeah.
He's been around this map. He's been making moves. He's been the carry that Gambit needed.
But he's the carry they deserved.
Yes.
Looks like so far, yes. Gambit on the way back up, 15,000 gold ahead. Just as a fun set of numbers, the jungle and mid combined kill score for SK Prime, 2-8-4. Whereas for Gambit, 3-4-11. They are definitely doing well between those two. And now, when does the game-winning push come in? Baron buff is off. It respawns in 2 minutes. Looks like they're heading top lane, though. Diamond going to slink in from the back.
Nick is just going to split push this out as a Zed.
Yep.
As a 3, 1, and 2 Zed with 2 activatable items. When you use those activatable items, you basically have more effective gold for a period of time, more combat stats. So what he's going to do is he's going to push this out. He's going to try to duel anybody who comes and deals with him. And he's going to push down that inhibitor.
And who can even stop him? What Fox can Zonya's the death mark, but realistically, it's not a fight he's going to exactly win here.
And if somebody comes to stop him, Kristlin just has so much damage at this point in the game as a 3-item, almost 4-item Tristana, that he's going to push down these turrets so quickly and clear these waves.
Top wave cleared, mid wave a little bit slow for Gambit. They'll get it eventually. They are not really in a rush to push down the base. Interesting choice here. They're not playing the siege game. They're playing really risk averse. They're respecting the Cinder. They're getting ward coverage soon, I would hope. But I'm not sure how Gambit tries to close his game out. Because they're not removing vision, they're just getting vision in the jungle.
Yeah, they're getting vision in the jungle. They just had Kristlin back. He got himself his last Whisper. He's ready to just push this out. They went back for their last item spikes. Maokai, Kuban on his way back as well. They kind of have this staggered thing going. And here's the thing, is they've delayed Smitty J so much that he just now got his Warmogs, his 2nd item of the game. Kuban's on his 3rd, building his 4th. Nick, 3 items and a half. Like, these guys have so many things going for them in comparison to the Mundo. Like, Mundo, who's going to kill you? It's going to be the AD carry.
Yep.
1 armor item, HP item, versus 4 DPS items here, plus boots.
Yeah.
For Kristlin. Kristlin going to tear through it, and here we're going to see it.
Kuban tries, he gets in, dodges the bubble, and now What the Fox is very much screwed. He's going to pop the Zonias in time, and they will maybe get Kuban, but no, he's staying alive. Finally drops 2 for 1 so far. Gambit now in cleanup duty. They're going to go,
Kristlin.
and they pick up the support. 2 people alive against 4. Nothing to do. Z's knocked back into the base. He'll stay alive, but guess what? Gambit very far ahead.
Just gave him a little boost out, and that's great. Kristlin, he's just going to chunk down this turret, but they're going to have to back off. They don't really have that tanky Maokai anymore.
That's fine. Nick's going to recall. They've got 3 members strong, and strong members at that. Edward, Kristlin, and Diamond are here to take down the bottom inhibitor. Z's will try to defend. I don't know if he can.
They're 3 strong members strong.
Yep.
In that bot lane, trying to clear this wave out, trying to reach this inhibitor, but at the same time, Kikis, he's about to come back up. It's about to be a 3-on-3 again, and they're still trying to just crack this base. They won the team fight there for Gambit, but they didn't capitalize off it. Baron's up, Dragon's up. A lot of neutral objectives to take, and they're just playing this very slowly and methodically after they've established such a huge lead for themselves.
Yeah, still I think too slow of an endgame for them, but they are still heavily in control.
And they focus down Wat to Fox here. They get him very low, but then he keeps himself alive. Kuban here actually takes a big beating, and he gets so low, but he stays alive, which is a chunk of HP for just a bit. And then this is where it starts going crazy. Kristlin gets back into the fight. He's able to just chunk him down. 605 crit onto the Na'Vi. This Tristana, one more auto would have killed Z's there.
Yep. If he crit, he would have got him, I think, but he was hoping it would happen there. Didn't. Gambit up 18k here. They're doing what they can, setting up Baron now for themselves. Let's see what they can do here. SKP, though, are going to set up for that mid lane tier 2. Problem is they're down so much, and Gambit looking for a bit of a flank. It forces SK Prime down to the southeast. Lander comes out. Looks like Baron is set up. SKP trying to stop Baron by pushing down mid as best they can.
Yeah, Baron is the call here. SKP, they're going to have to rely on this and push down this mid lane. It's going to be a Baron for Gambit at the same time.
You gotta hope for a bit of a misplay for this one. They're taking their sweet time, though. They know Baron's going down. They've got to, but they're not pushing very fast. And Edward now gonna get jumped on. Baron picked up. There's the box, and they will pick up 1 kill. So 5v4 with a Baron buff on. Can SKP do more with this? They've got to make some kind of stand.
Nick, they're going in. They're on Z's.
Tidal Wave ulti pop. Z's is staying alive. In comes Zed, though. Death Mark is massive damage. Z's will fall, and they're going to get What the Fox as well. Kikis does not get anything done. 3 for 0 in this battle. Nick stays alive. 4 kills picked up. Only Zaitan. He's going to float away.
Gambit, they end up giving up Edward, and they start that fight 4-on-5. They focus Z's down exactly who they needed to, picked up Wat to Fox, and that fight was just theirs. Nobody could threaten Kristlin at this point in the game. He just does too much damage.
So 20,000 gold lead. They can push in for the bottom inhibitor. 25 seconds on the respawn. Now, there are no minions in the base. This might not be the game-winning push unless they can backdoor some buildings here. But they do have all 5 members of the team alive. And they go in for now the middle inhibitor turret.
They're just going to pop some activatable items and pick that one up. Yomu's and another inhibitor for themselves for the mid lane. Zaitan can't really do anything up against this 4-man push squad. And right here, Chrislin comes up, crit, jump away, he gets stunned, but look at that, the exhaust is still on. He gets zoned out of the fight, but meanwhile, Z's gets picked up, they end up picking up Fox, and then Chrislin just jumps back into the fight because the job wasn't done.
And you know what's rough though as well when the Syndra can't go after the AD carry and try to solo him? Because that's exactly what Nick did. He got some setup from Diamond, but basically by himself one-shot the enemy AD carry, something that the other mid laner of SKP cannot do. And now with Banshees on Chrislin, he's pretty much unstoppable. 10-0 and 5, continuing to do well. Just set up to succeed. Again, Nick and Diamond just won the early game. They've got artillery in the backline, just claiming kills when fights start.
Yeah, 6 items. Full build for Chrislin here. Up on the top lane, Kuban working on his last item. He has the Thornmail. He has the Frozen Heart to deal with Kog'Maw. Meanwhile, Smitty J, he's working on his Thornmail. He's trying to get to that point. Like, usually when you run a full attack damage composition, like Gambit, when they do have a Maokai, that's fine. We'll talk about that in a second.
Kick is trying to get away. The flash is going to follow by Nick. He finds him, gets the kill, 1v1, even through the invisibility. Nice play there by Nick, and into the base they go.
With the super minions right behind them, clearing these minion waves out. Getting ready for this 4-on-5 fight, and there goes Kuban.
They find Z's, they find the damage, kill picked up by Chrislin. This is going to be the game. Gambit just diving on in, picking up whoever's in front of them. They don't even care who they're hitting at this point. Just everybody starting to fall over. They do trade one back onto Kuban, but it's not going to be enough. Smitty J flashing away, goes down. The chase into the fountain. Zaitan in a bad spot. Crit, auto attack. Chrislin gets the kill. Down go the Nexus turrets, and Gambit tie up the series 1-1.
Played to their strengths as players, played to the strengths of their composition. Gambit Gaming played that flawlessly from start to finish, completely dictated the pace of that game. And SKP, you keep Kickus down, you stop Fox from getting going,
yep,
and you give yourselves a little bit
of breathing room.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to deal with that.
It seems like these games right now are being dictated by the first 15 minutes. And it's, as you're naming the names already, but it's the mid laners and the junglers making the plays together. Whoever gets the edge there, pushes their opponents down and stops the growth, that just turns into the rest of the game. It gives dragon control, it gives buff control, it gives everything. And then the other members are there like, all right, well, we'll show up for the team fights once you've determined who's going to lead. And they just kind of close out the game. Now, I think Gambit closed out a little bit slow. I don't think they needed a 25,000 gold lead to win the game, but they kept winning all the fights, and hey, it worked for them.
Yeah, and they ended up, like you said, winning the early game. A lot of that was off of the back of Diamond.
Yeah, it was.
Nick. But Chrislin at the same time had a really good game for himself on Tristana. 13-0 and 6. Didn't die. Carried from the bot lane after they got that mid lane going. Rotated down bottom. They took care of Z's. They took off that threat. And at the same time, Smitty J, he was shut down. He couldn't be that big armor tank that they needed. I was about to say that when you face against a full physical damage composition, typically that has a timer on it. Typically, like, our tank is going to get really tanky, and then you can't do anything about him. The fact that they got 25,000 gold up so quickly, and they just started getting that going, they ended up closing it out. So like I said, they played to their win conditions. They played to their comp perfectly. They got that early game lead for themselves, and definitely worked out for Gambit Gaming. I really like what they brought here, and they played to their strengths.
Yeah, and one thing I think I also want to bring up, though, as well, in the very beginning, was the great invade by the duo lane of Gambit, right? New AD carry, Edward and Chrislin, what can you guys do together? Well, it turns out you can first blood the enemy jungler on a late invade. I thought that was really good, a really clever play right there. And that also did set it up. It happened once, then we kind of forgot about it, but it did set Kickus back. It slowed down the jungle as well. And I think that also did kind of pay into the fact that Diamond and Nick did then win the mid lane. I think that the bot lane got a bit of props there for making that one happen at the very beginning. But overall, of course, great game by Gambit. They've tied the score now 1-1. So now that Gambit have even the scoreboard, let's throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk to share their insights on this series so far.
Thank you, Freak. Definitely a better game there by Gambit. They looked a little bit more into their normal form. So we have to give them a little bit of credit for bouncing back, as we said they should be able to do after getting, thrown that curveball in the first game and taking that first loss. Something I do want to look at immediately, though, is the champion select. As we said, we were looking for some things to kind of flip-flop around. We actually saw both teams go with a fairly late game scaling comp this time, which, when you have that Cog versus the Trist, I feel like SKT, their playstyle didn't quite match it. They played a little too aggressively from behind, given the late game comp.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing into how the game quickly spiraled out of control was the mid lane matchup, in which Syndra can bully Zed early game, but she took exhaust, meaning that she was preparing to go really, really late and let Zed get away with a relatively easy laning phase. Had she taken Ignite, she would have gotten multiple kills in mid lane, as we saw, and just would have been able to put a lot more pressure and be in just a better commanding position in the early game. Because all you need to do against that team comp that Gambit had, keep Zed down, then group as 5, and you have a massive wombo combo team comp, which isn't really like, it's just Kog'Maw Syndra, right? You can't really go into that with Vi. Like, you're going to get killed if you're Vi into that. And then what happened was Syndra wasn't able to get that lead because with time she tried to kill mid lane, she had exhaust, and she flashed forward while Vi was in front of her and gave one kill to Vi. And once Vi gets going, she was able to snowball multiple places around the map, middle again, basically, and get Zed further ahead. And when Vi gets ahead, she can also do a really quick dragon. Where we saw Gambit take the first dragon, I think, like at 13 minutes, which is valued pretty highly. And with the 2-0 Zed, Zed's able to just go rampant, and there's no threat of him getting killed because Syndra has exhaust, and Kha'Zix went for an E-evolution first. So he's just banking on his team setting him up, and it just never got to that point.
Dominic, we talked a lot about the mid matchup while we were watching it back here, and something else that was brought up was the idea of holding on to that Syndra ultimate, because he was very willing to throw it out to try and force the Zed out of lane. But I want to get your thoughts on, as a jungler, you kind of mentioned that holding on to your ult actually for when the enemy jungler comes to gank can be rather useful.
Yeah, I think that it's smarter in that situation to save your ult for all-in potential rather than just using it for chunk. Excuse me. If you use it for chunk in that situation, you're not... You don't have any threat. Like, the Vi can dive onto you, and there's no threat that you can kill him. As a jungler, when you gank a Syndra, it's always in the back of your mind, like, okay, I can get one shot. If I engage in the wrong spot, like, I'll be trading 1-for-1 versus Syndra. So I think the Syndra should have been looking to, like, chunk him with Qs, chunk him with E's, but save the ultimate for when Vi comes. And when Vi comes, just all in the Vi, just try to get a kill and trade 1-for-1.
I also do actually want to jump all the way back to the beginning of the game, because we had a pretty interesting level 1 kind of shenanigans, couple kills traded back and forth, buffs being stolen and things like that. Dominic, I know you wanted to speak to this.
Yeah, there was a really unique opportunity for that game for Gambit to get a 4 buff. It was really, really possible. And all they needed to do was, after Gambit had forced them off the red, the Vi needed to back off immediately after he got the blue, because that's a stealth mission. When you're going onto the weak side of your map, you don't have coverage from your duo lane. So they're banking on getting that blue before the bot lane can rotate, or in that case, their top. But before the duo lane can rotate to you, you need to be able to get the buff and get out. And if they get that buff, they can re-rotate over to the enemy red that's still up, and that's their strong side. If they have just Thresh waiting there, the Kha'Zix can't actually start the buff, and you'll get the enemy red, the enemy blue. You already have your red, and then you just back off to your blue. You have a 4 buff start, and that will essentially end the game.
Yeah, we saw at that point, too, that Vi had the Vault Breaker, so it would have been possible for her to go right back over that blue wall and get to safety much easier than getting caught in the river there. Although, we have to say it was a pretty fantastic flash by Nami there in the river, blocking the Vault Breaker to secure that kill. Now, I want to move a little bit further down into the game and talk about the fact that SK Prime, as we said, played super aggressively with this team composition when they got behind. I feel like that might be kind of the first telltale signs of nerves, thinking that you have to make a play here in order to get, when there's a giant prize on the line here, the LCS.
I think they're kind of failing to take into consideration what their team comps do instead of just like we saw the first game, they took the Exhaust and Orianna. Perfectly understandable, right? Ori versus Zed. Good matchup to take Exhaust on. Like, you know you're going to be needing it in the team fights later. But Syndra versus Zed, that's definitely not one that you're going to need that later on. And, like, it was just very weird to see, even when Kha'Zix fell really far behind, he just kept trying to make plays and plays and plays. And he went for the E evolution. To me, that's not so much... Maybe it is nerves, but it's like a failing to see like the power spike that you're having, what you need to be evolving. Like, for instance, that game, had Kha'Zix gone for a W evolution first, he would have been able to just play a lot more passive, protect dragons, and just be able to stall the game out longer, because that's ultimately all you need. You needed to keep the Zed down and make sure that your team comp just doesn't lose any more objectives, because you lose the turrets, you lose map control, and against Vi, Thresh, Zed, you're going to get picked off. They just needed to prevent towers from dying as early as possible, stall them out until you get the Kog'Maw late enough that Kog'Maw with Nami can pretty much just walk around and just chunk everyone, kill everyone with Syndra to protect, and perhaps a Kha'Zix W evolution. It's very difficult to come in and have a safe engage into that. So just a failure in the skill evolution, like summoner spells, and then it just went downhill from there. Keep trying to make him plays with not having any advantage.
All that being said, we have seen Tristana played in both games, played very well. In fact, in that game, 13-0 and 6 on Tristana for Kristlin there. So, Dominate, I'm going to have two questions. The first one, obviously in that bot lane, Tristana is going to be a pretty contested pick. Do you see bans falling on that, or literally just we're going to trade it every game back and forth until one of the teams can outplay it?
I personally think it's going to be traded. I think a team's going to try to get an OP, and like let's say the purple side team will give up one OP and try to get Trist and then something else that they value, and that's how the ban pick phase will benefit them most. If they ban it, then they could just be giving up an OP for nothing, and then there's no real benefit coming out of your pick ban phase. But I think if you just play smart, you opt to early rotation the Trist on purple side, I think that you can just get it every time.
I agree with that. I think that the Trist will most likely be traded, and especially since they picked Kog'Maw last game. They picked Kog into Trist, which is a perfectly fine matchup. And in the late game, Kog'Maw does a lot more damage than Tristana, seeing as he also has longer range with his Bio-Arcane Barrage activated. So I think the team showed that they're comfortable at least picking it. Maybe not playing it, but they're comfortable taking the Kog'Maw into Tristana, which is a fine matchup. So until we see that develop late game, maybe Gambit is not comfortable taking the Kog'Maw into Trist and having a hyper carry late game, which I thought the first game they made the mistake of taking the Lucian into that. But we'll see how the game pans out later on.
All right, and then the second question, given that you're both junglers, was going to be about those jungle matchups, because we've actually seen quite a few come out. Kog, Vi, let's see here, Elise, and Fizz, right? Yep. So we've seen 4 different picks. Do we expect to see more? Do we expect them to test each other's jungle champion pools, because we haven't seen Nunu come out? The Lee Sin has been banned away, so who knows if we'll have the opportunity to see that one. Do we expect to see some testing there when it comes to the jungle champion pools?
I think this next game will not have any new champs, because I feel like the junglers this second game didn't really have that big of an impact, and the first one, only the Fizz had like a relatively good impact into the game, and we see Lee Sin be constantly banned out by Gambit, so I don't think they're gonna drop that ban anytime soon. And they're not known, like Gambit's jungler and SKP's jungler aren't known for playing like a new champion, so I don't see them picking that necessarily. And seeing as how the games aren't necessarily revolving around the jungle pick, I don't think it's a good idea to start banning junglers away. So I could just see them picking the same things that have worked for them in Game 1 and Game 2 for the teams respectively.
All right. We'll see when we get into Champion Select for those. However, we're going to quickly jump to a video feature. The professional gaming community is small, and even the pros have players and teams that they're rooting for. So we caught up with a few to see who they're hoping will get a shot at the big leagues.
One of the players that I actually like a lot and that I would not hold against if he got into the LCS is actually Mashed.
I think that don't match me and she deserve it. Now that they're together, I think they mesh really well. They're really friendly, so that helps a lot too.
I'm really grateful for the people that said that they hope I make it back in.
That's what keeps me going, always playing well and just being yourself.
In particular, I would say Porpoise Pops is a good player, and he's also an old teammate of mine. So I would actually like to see him make it in the LCS, just not taking our spot for it.
We're good friends, so if we do win against Complexity, I want Bubbadub to make it back into the LCS.
I think Porpoise Pops is a really good solo queue jungler that hasn't really seen that much light yet. If they do manage to qualify, then he's going to be a jungler to watch out for.
I actually have some friends in SK Prime. I know some of them, they're really cool guys.
There's some guys who are playing really good, like Lizik Saxi from Unicorns of Love or Smithy J.
I just hope that some of my friends in Europe get back in and finally get the recognition they deserve. Everyone can deserve it, but they have to show that they are worthy to be an LCS and beat an LCS team.
Now, both of you, being pro players, I have to ask, are there any challenger players that you're looking at that you really hope have the opportunity to make it into the LCS?
I think the one we talked about before earlier after talking about the CLG and Chris Academy games, Bunny Fufu. I mean, we know when he came into the LCS last split, he was doing good work, and we see that consistently throughout the Challenger series. And, I mean, it's not just Thresh. Honestly, his positioning in some of the games, his ultimates have been really top-notch, and I'd like to see a player like that get the opportunity to stay in the LCS for more than one split.
All right. Dominic, from what I've heard from you about Bunny Fufu, I have to imagine you're going to go with the same person.
Yeah, Bunny is one of my favorite players I ever played with. He is this, like, this God-given talent to play support that I haven't seen in anyone that I've ever played with. Like, he doesn't have as good game sense, which kind of just comes with experience, but his straight-up mechanics and his prediction and his skill shots are so next level that if he gets to the same level as the other professional NA supports in terms of game sense, he's going to be an absolute beast. He'll be the best support in NA.
All right. Well, he may still have an opportunity through the expansion tournament, and then who knows if any LCS teams will be looking at him. But we are going to head off the Rift while the teams set up for Game 3 between Gambit Gaming and SK Prime. We'll be right back with more of our Spring Promotion Tournament. Stay tuned. Oh, yeah.
Dueling around Diamond. Does not have Vault Breaker, I believe. He's going to have to flash. Z's in there. He does. Wow, Zaitan blocks it.
The flash from Zaitan to stunt the Vault Breaker.
Looks for Kikis, flashed away by Diamond. Now who's going to win this fight? Kuban in the front, taking up everything. They pick apart the Fox. They get Smitty J as well. Gets stunned up, but you know what? Diamond and Edward just taking blows as they knock everyone else down. 3 kills picked up already. Z's is staying alive. In comes Zed, though. Deathmark is massive damage. Z's will fall, and they're going to get What the Fox as well. Kikis does not get anything done. 3 for 0 in this battle. Nick stays alive. 4 kills picked up.